Psychological disorders. People with psychological disorders are not dangerous. Psychological disorders are a pattern of behavioral and psychological symptoms that cause significant personal distress and impairs the ability to function in one or more important areas of daily life. Disorders vary in cultures. See the chart. Cannell was the first one to say people need moral treatment. The Middle Ages were brutal to people with psychological disturbances. The biopsychosocial approach says that physical health and illness are determined by the complex interaction of biological, social, and psychological factors. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is the most common reason children are referred for mental health services in the United States. Answer the questions. We classify people in order to give them treatment. The DSM-5 is the book that lists all the psychological disorders. You have to have one of these to be treated and have your insurance pay for your treatment. There are benefits and criticisms of the DSM-5. Homosexuality used to be in it, but it was taken out. Answer the question. Anxiety disorders. Anxiety is a mood state characterized as marked negative affect and bodily symptoms of tension in which a person apprehensively anticipates future danger or misfortune. Generalized anxiety disorder is that a person feels uneasy in all situations. Panic disorders strike at different times. Phobia is a psychological disorder characterized by marked, persistent fear of an object or situation. Obsessive-compulsive disorder involves unwanted, persistent, intrusive thoughts and impulses, as well as repetitive actions to suppress the thoughts. Read the slide. Generalized anxiety disorder is that a person feels uneasy in all situations. Panic disorders strike at different times. Phobias is a psychological disorder characterized by marked persistent fear of an object or situation. Read the slide. Read the slide. Answer the questions. Obsessive compulsive disorder involves unwanted, persistent, intrusive thoughts and impulses, as well as repetitive action to suppress the thoughts. Read the slide. Post-traumatic stress disorder is an enduring, distressing emotional disorder that follows exposure to fear-inducing threat. Read the slide. Answer the questions. When we observe others' reactions to certain situations, we can learn from them or be afraid of certain stimuli. Some people have a genetic predisposition to certain psychological disorders. However, it may take a stressful situation to bring them out. Answer the questions. Substance abuse. Substance abuse disorder is a range of problems associated with the use and abuse of drugs, such as alcohol, cocaine, heroin, and other substances that alter the way that people think. See the chart? Read the slide. When is drug use a disorder? Answer the questions. Alcohol is the most abused drug. It is highly correlated to car accidents. There are negative long-term effects on the brain. There is death of nerve cells with alcohol abuse. Scan of the brain, people with and without alcohol disorder. Warning signs of alcohol abuse. Barbiturates are sedative drugs included Amatil, Seconal, and other drugs that are used as sleep aids. Opiates such as heroin are included. If you have been watching the news lately, you will see that we have an opioid epidemic. Answer the question. Stimulant drugs elevate mood, activity, alertness, including caffeine, amphetamines, and nicotine. Nicotine is one of the most abused drugs. It is legal and highly addictive in cigarettes. Read the slide. Answer the questions. There are cognitive, biological, behavioral, and social issues associated with the use of cocaine. See the slide. Read the slide. Hallucinogens interfere with serotonin. Marijuana is a controversial drug. It has been legalized in about 11 states. It has also been decriminalized in many states. It is a psychoactive drug derived from the hemp plant. Hallucinogens are drugs such as acid, which were used a lot in the 60s. See the chart? Answer the question. Mood disorders. The most important variable as to whether or not you will use drugs depends on your peer group. If they are using, you're most likely to. Answer the question. Mood disorders. Major depressive disorder, a mood disorder characterized by extreme and persistent feeling of despondency, worthlessness, and hopelessness. It impairs functioning. Bipolar disorder involves periods of incapacitating depression, alternating with periods of euphoria and excitement. See the graph? See the slide, diagnosing major depressive disorder. Suicide is higher with people who are depressed. NSS is cutting or injuring oneself. Non-suicidal self-injury. It helps them take away the psychological pain. More women get depression than men. See the chart? Loss of serotonin and norepinephrine can cause depression. Drugs increase these neurotransmitters. See the slide, the ups and downs of bipolar disorder? And see the slide, see the chart. Learned helplessness is that people become depressed and anxious when they make an attribution that they have no control over the stress in their lives. Pessimistic people are more apt to follow victim to learned helplessness. Into the question? Schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a devastating psychotic disturbance that may involve disturbances in thinking, speech, emotions, and behavior. It usually does not show up until the late teens. Too much dopamine is one cause. Drugs reduce the amount of dopamine. There is research that says that there is a correlation with a mother getting a viral infection during pregnancy with schizophrenia. There is also a genetic correlation too. See the chart? It is influenced by many genes. Answer the question. Other disorders, eating disorders, dissociative disorders, and personality disorders. Anorexia is when a person does not eat because they think they are fat. In essence, they are really thin. Bulimia is eating too much and vomiting or using excessive laxatives. And binge eating is eating too much and feeling really guilty. Answer the questions. Dissociative disorder is that there is extreme and frequent disruptions of awareness, memory, and personal identity to impair the ability to function. Dissociative identity disorder is when a person has as many as 100 personalities or fragments of other personalities exist within oneself. It is controversial as to whether or not this exists. Answer the question. Antisocial personality disorder is disregard for the rights of others, can be the serial killers. And as I wrote in the beginning, there is nothing to fear with psychological disorders except antisocial personality disorders. Many people lead good lives while on their medications. They need to control their disorder.